Now, we all know how good GarageBand for iOS is. Well, some people don't know it. They sort of look at the guitar symbol and think, well, what's that? Oh, it's free plugin, can't be all that good. Well, it is. What's more, third-party plugin manufacturers who work on Logic or Cubase or Pro Tools are making plugins especially for iOS. That's how good it is. And I'm going to talk about a very, very nice plugin today, the Hornet H76 Compressor by Hornet Plugins. It's fabulous. Let's have a look. So for the demonstration, I'm going to wear headphones because I'm going to record some vocals in a minute. I need everything to be controllable. Now, I'm going to start, as you can see on the screen, I've got a GarageBand drummer rhythm, just a drum rhythm that you just call up. And it sounds like this. Now let's see what happens if we put the Hornet H76 plugin on it. I think quite a lot will happen. If we go to the settings, plugins and EQ, and then I'm going to go to edit. I'm just going to get rid of that effect EQ there because I don't want that. I want a complete clean slate. Notice there is a compressor listed there, but it's not actually doing anything at all. So I'm just going to click one of the green pluses here. Audio unit extensions is where the H76 compressor will reside. So I'm just going to grab that and press play. Now the level's dropped quite a lot. That's not the fault of the compressor. There's some settings to be done. So if I just click on the yellow button there, I'm faced with a very familiar looking display to people who have used hardware compressors in the past, and it has a meter, which is really important because it shows you exactly what is happening. You need to have some sort of indication like this. This isn't just pretty pictures like lots of other plugins, and as you can see, it's quite a Spartan display, which is all it needs to be. Now if I just click the arrow here at the bottom right, it opens up another page where you can go to something called extras. Now this is where you can do things like automatic settings. So if I just auto trim, link input and output, which means that if I raise the input it'll lower the output and vice versa. Auto attack and release, well, let's give it a go. Auto gain reduction, let's give it a go. And go back to the main page. Now I'm going to click this button called Makeup Gain, which is the bottom right button here. So that means that it will basically have the same sort of gain as I had without the plugin, without the compressor plugged in at all. It's made the drums sound really tough, but it hasn't ruined that sort of, it hasn't imparted that sort of digital nastiness. Far from it. Now we have the ratio control. These were push buttons on the original compressors, this sort of 1176 compressor. Ratio of 4 means it's compressing a little bit. It's about dB compression over a certain threshold, which is set by your input level here. Ow, amazing. The all button is where you've got all the buttons pressed in for even more gain reduction. So I'm just going to go back to 4 because it's quite squashy. But with 4, it just, for me, just has a bit of energy. So I'm going to record some bass along with this now. So I'm going to just open up an audio track. I'm just going to use the audio recorder rather than the bass amp so that you can hear what's happening. Yeah, there's no there's no effects plugged into that. So I've got my bass. You can see my level coming in there. I'm going to switch the monitor on. So there's quite a lot of variation in the level there. Now if I bring in the plugins and EQ, I can actually monitor using the H76. As you can see, it's really squashing things at the moment. So I'm going to turn the input level. I'm going to do this manually this time. I'm just turn the input level down and raise the output level. That's more like it. I'm just going to raise the output a little bit more. Yeah, I like that. It means that I can play, I can record and kind of hear what I'm doing, hear what's going to come back. Of course, plugins are on the playback side only. You can't record with the plugin, as it were. That sort of goes for most computer digital audio workstations. You get things like the Universal Audio where you can have plugins built in which you can actually record. You can sort of print them onto the recording, as it were, but not on this one. But that's fine. So here we go. Okay, so there's a bass line. I can hear that pretty clearly. So if I just press play, and I'm going to switch the compressor on and off using the plugins and EQ button there, so you can hear what it sounds like with and without. So here it is with, and then after 2 bars, I'm going to switch it off. So what happened in the bars 3 and 4 there was that the dynamic range was quite high and a little bit too high. Sure, music, orchestral music has to have a massively high dynamic range, but rock and pop, not so much. You've got to have that energy and the sort of punch, which is what this is, basically. So if I just got my bass... Now I'm going to switch the compressor off. So you've got a massive variation in level there, whereas here... Great. And because there's basically no latency at all, if you're a bass player out on a gig, take the H76 compressor with you out live and play through your iPad. Easy. So I'm going to just close that down and go back to my main page, and I'm going to put a guitar on. So I quite like a washy chord with my guitar. So basically it means that I'm going to have a very, very slow compressor with a lot of gain reduction. So with my guitar here, and I'm just going to record without a guitar amp because guitar amps compress naturally. So I'm just going to deal with the H76 only, because actually it's a fantastic tool and it sounds great and it does exactly what you want it to do. So I'm just going to switch on my monitor. There we go. So I've just got my Stratocaster here, just on the bridge pickup. And just going to go back into settings and install the compressor. I don't want that one. I want my H76. There we are. Once again, it's sort of ramped the gain down and we can go in and sort all that out. So I'm just going to turn my input level down. Although I want that long chord. I want to hold a chord underneath that bass line so that there's a bit of a pad. So actually, that's kind of the sound I need. I could even go a bit more severe and turn the input level up even further. There's an awful lot of sustain there, so I'm going to record with that. Now the attack and release times that you can see here, these buttons, the further round to the right you go is a faster attack and a faster release. So I want a slow release. That's amazing. That will do me absolutely fine. Now the meter, just talking a little bit about the meter while we're here. GR means gain reduction. It shows you how much it's having to squash the signal, which is pretty much full at the moment. Might be a little bit too much. Let's just... That's better. It's not so distorted. See what happens with a higher ratio. Yeah, lower ratio, I think. The ratio is how much compression is applied, and if it's too high, it can really sort of get down there. Now, MK at the bottom is makeup gain. Now, this is really important. If you've done a lot of compression, you squash the level. You have to turn the gain back up so that you get the same sort of level that you would have if the compressor wasn't there. That's better. So, I'm going to record with that. Now I'm going to play that back with the H76 actually switched off now, and you can hear that those guitar chords die quite quickly. So it's a natural decay as the strings come to rest. So I'm just going to switch the compressor back on. See, that's great because I'd like to be able to apply maybe some chorus or a phaser or something. So if I just go into my plugins, after the compressor, I'm going to put a chorus on. Just gives me a bit of a washy sound underneath that sort of spikier bass line. Now, just for the interest of keeping a demonstration not too long, I'm going to put some vocals on. So this is where you really will have to use compression on vocals because you've got to hear all the parts. If I go, hey, compression, there's lots, really good lyric writer me. Basically, you want to be able to hear every single nuance above the mix. So I'm just going to set another audio recorder. This time I'm going to have channel 2, which is my mic here that I've got plugged in. 1, 2, 2, 2, 2. Now I'm not going to use the compression on the record while I'm recording. I can put it on afterwards. So we need compression to make all the words come out, even if they're low in level. Yeah, to cope with all the sounds, yeah, real born improviser, me. So I'm going to get the compressor now. I'm just going to play it back without the compressor, and you can hear that you can't hear some of the words. We need compression to make all the words come out. To make all the words come out. You can't hear that sentence at all. And I've purposefully made the dynamic range a little bit too high so that we can really get angry with the compressor. So I'm just going to instate my, there we are, install the H76. I'm going to bring the makeup gain up. Oh, you can still hear the monitor. I'm just going to switch that off. I don't want that. 2, 2, 1, 2. There we go. Okay, so my monitor's off now, and I'm just going to go back into plugins and EQ and then play with the compressor and see what happens. We need compression to make all the words come out, even if they're low in level. See, I can begin to hear that. Maybe I want a slightly quicker attack so that it acts a little bit sooner and then a slower release. And I'm just going to turn the output up slightly and go back to have a listen to that. We need compression to make all the words come out, even if they're low in level. For me, there's a bit too much compression there. I always, with vocals, I aim to have sort of peaks at -6 or slightly more, but no more than that. Otherwise, it sounds really pumpy. It sounds like a sort of a really loud radio broadcast. So I'm going to turn the input down and the output up slightly so that my meter is not showing such a huge reduction. We need compression to make all the words come out, even if they're low in level. I can now hear that comfortably, and it's not sort of really in your face. So I've just used a couple of instruments here, bass, guitar and vocals, and then some on the drums as well. I could actually apply this to any of the keyboard sounds on Logic as well. So if I just go to my, I'll find a piano. Let's have a look. So I'm just going to set a classical grand. There we are, and I've got my keyboard here. Quite a lot of variation in level there, so I'm just going to put a little bit of rhythm piano on.
We need compression to make all the words come out, even if they're low enough. Yeah, to cope with all the sounds, yeah.
Okay, so my piano, I could do the same thing. I could go into my plugins and EQ and edit and go into my H76.
We need compression to make all the words come out, even if they're low enough. Yeah, to cope with.
What it's done is it's taken the attack of the key of the actual piano key. It's just taken that off and then allowed the notes to come out after the initial attack, a bit like with the guitar. Of course, you don't want to mix something that is so heavily compressed that when you take it to a mastering engineer, they're going to go, I can't do anything with this because it's just really squashy. But as you can hear, it's very musical, and that's the important bit. It's the music that matters. But when you've got a tool like this in your sort of armory on GarageBand for iOS, you are suddenly making iOS GarageBand, which is fantastic anyway, you're really raising the level now.